Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Growing Up is Overrated podcast. My name is Jen, and I'm here with my friend and co-host T. In the before times, most people commuted to an office every day, talked to coworkers over coffee, and sat in a cubicle surrounded by other cubicles. Now, we are in a world of remote office working, and that comes with its own challenges. Today, T and I are going to be discussing working from home and some of our strategies and tips for making it work for you. Now, into the podcast. Hi, T. How's it going?
Hello, Jen. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, things have been going really smoothly lately. I've been feeling really good and happy. Job has been going well. I've been seeing
Good.
friends. So
Yeah.
things have been fun. And things haven't been fun to me in a while. So it's
Yeah.
refreshing. What about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I feel like I've been able to reframe situations a lot better, and that's really helped me to be able to find my stride a lot better, if that makes sense. Just um, I'm feeling more comfortable in my new job, and we're starting to talk about, just some really cool things that I get to be involved with, and I really, um, I'm excited to be meeting new people, even if it's virtually. um,
Yeah.
but it's really nice to be, part of a team, who I can see actually sees my potential. I think that that's something that's really amazing, because they don't even need me to be in the office to know that that I'm offering them something really good. So that is a really great sign to me that, after years of being in jobs that I've been really unhappy at, that, I all of the work that I've put in and all of the turmoil and stuff of trying to find a
Mhm.
job was worth it. And um, you know, things in life just kind of tend to figure themselves out. Not without work from you, of course, but reaching out to other people, and, not feeling like you have to do everything alone, I think has been really helpful.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Like I think that it's great that you're in a job that even though you're not in a face-to-face working environment, they're recognizing your strengths. Because I feel like that's one of the we'll get into this a little bit deeper later, but that's one of the drawbacks of remote working is that it's harder to recognize people and recognize their work.
Right.
So I think that that's really strong. And of course, today's episode is about remote working and just working in general because we're both young adults who are
Mhm.
relatively new to the working world. I'm very new to the working world. And so most of my experience working has been in the post-COVID era.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
the most I had retail jobs
Mhm.
before this, but I didn't stay in them very long. They're more like summer jobs.
Yeah.
So my first real adult job was post-COVID.
Yeah, your first, full-time job was
Mhm.
post-COVID. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's interesting because, I don't know, I think that kind of with the whole, quarantine and pandemic thing, like, it it's really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this period of time has affected different, groups of people based on how old they were, where they were in their season of life,
Mhm.
um, like, when COVID hit, and everything, locked down, because, you have your high school seniors who graduated, and maybe they would have gone to college right away, um, and had a totally different experience, um, but they decided to take a gap year or something because of COVID, or they did all online where they were otherwise they were gonna get, a dorm experience or something. Um, or like you and myself, like we are similar, but like also a little bit different in the way that like I was already kind of in the job force. Like, I don't know, even my job that I had before this, I was kind of like a little bit like, I don't know, like I thought this was gonna be my big girl job, but I don't feel like it's my big girl job. um and like now I'm in a situation where I feel like I am in a big kid job. um
Yeah, I
I don't know if that makes
totally.
sense.
No, it does make sense. Like, I often think about that too, like how people are going to be affected by this moment depending on where they were in life. Because
Hmm.
I am literally the last people who graduated, like finished college
Yeah.
before everything ended. Because I graduated in December of 2019,
Right.
and I didn't really graduate. I got my degree, but I didn't walk yet.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm the last one. Like my entire schooling experience was not affected by this at all.
Right.
And I think about that a lot, that everybody under me is going to have this experience of disruption in their education. And how is
Hmm.
that going to affect them in
Long
10
term.
years?
Yeah.
Um, and and I think about people like, also people like me who are just entering the workforce, and like how will this,
Yeah.
like in 20 years will there be a study about like the COVID generation and how like there was a huge drop in wealth, or like stuff or whatever. Like I think about that a lot. Um,
Yeah. Well, I
but
mean,
that's getting like beyond like thinking about how COVID in general is going to affect the
sure, sure,
world.
sure.
And like I kind of want to bring us down a little bit to talking about remote working,
Hmm.
because remote working is a very interesting beast in my opinion.
Sure.
Because again, I had little experience with working beforehand, so I don't really know what a normal office experience would be like. Oh, and that's the other thing. We want to put like a caveat on this entirely, in that we understand that a lot of people in this moment do not have the option to work remotely,
Hmm.
and that being able to do so is a privilege, and we both recognize that.
Hmm.
But we want to talk about the differences and challenges that come along with working from home, and how
Hmm.
we adapt to those difficulties.
Yeah. Yeah, and like how you can, or how, like what we've been doing to try to get ourselves to feel like we're um not being distracted by everything at home.
Yeah, because that's a big
And
problem for
still
me.
putting in the same, yeah, like still putting in the same amount of effort that we would if we were actually in the office. Uh or some people have the other issue, which is not knowing how to stop working, and they let work come into their personal life too much. Which I have coworkers like that too, so.
Because when you work from home, there is no separation of your
Mhm.
workspace and your play space. Like
Yeah.
my desk is also in my bedroom, and my
Mhm.
desk is also where I have my Switch plugged in and my
Yep.
gaming computer. Like, so it's hard for me to be like, okay, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday is work time, and the rest of the time, the same space is for fun and playtime.
Yeah.
That I find in particular really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting because, so, like, I have gone into my office a couple of times since I started this job, and the few times that I did, it was really fun, and, I was like, it was nice to get that human interaction, right?
Hmm.
But I was so exhausted. Like, I was like, not only the commute, but, like, literally being at I felt like I couldn't walk away from my computer. Like, I take a lot of breaks throughout the day, like, when I work from home, because
Hmm.
I, like, can't just sit at a desk for, like, ever. And I do a lot of data entry. Um, I do a lot of, like, really intense focusing on the screen, and so I need to go give my eyes and my back and my body a break, and, like, do a little bit of movement. So I'll, like, walk around the house, or, like, do a little, like a couple minutes of stretching or something, and that's not something you can do, like, just in the middle of the office, like, like, be like
Oh,
Tom Nook
there's
and
T
Isabel.
again, standing up, going, doing exercises in the middle of the office
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, like Tom Nook and Isabel just, like, doing their aerobics hour.
Yes. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
like I want that to be normalized in American culture, but that's
That's another
another thing.
discussion.
But yeah, like I was just so exhausted because I felt like I could not walk away from my computer. And then
Mhm.
and then there's the other issue, which is T doesn't know how to shut up. And
Wow,
so,
I'm so surprised by that.
oh my gosh, I feel personally victimized by Gina George. Um, no, yeah, like I just like want to like be like, hey, coworker, what about this thing? Or like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying, or like commiserate with things. And you're
I do
like,
that too. I've examined in my year now. I'm almost a year into working for a company and working remotely. And so I've noticed over the year that interactions are really transactional.
mm,
I come talk to you when I need you to do something for me, and you come talk to me when you need something from me. There's no water cooler talk
yeah,
that happens over Slack or over Teams. So it's really hard to get a relationship with somebody
right.
in a remote environment unless you both have this initial understanding that like you're trying to be friends. You're not
Mm,
trying like I have a coworker now who's really awesome and she's really fun and we Slack each other all day long.
uh,
But I wouldn't have been like that if she didn't reach out to me first and was like,
mm,
"Hey, like, oh, well, long story short, she knew me before I started my most recent job and she found out I was going to be on her team and she reached out to me like over Facebook and was like,
uh-huh.
"Hey, like we're going to be working together." And so we already had a relationship before going into the office. It's really hard to forge a friend relationship just remotely in an office setting.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we even have like a section in our like our company instant messenger that has like it's called the water cooler and nobody uses
That's the problem. No one uses those channels.
it.
Like we have a couple channels like that are general or random. Like no one
Mm,
ever posts anything in them.
mhm. Well,
I mean, the
we post
closest we
in the
got was
general.
the closest we got was somebody posted like, "How's everybody doing?" after like Ida like rolled through the
Uh,
area. Like,
yeah.
and then some people were like, "Oh yeah, we're fine. Thanks for checking in." But that was the closest thing we got to
Mm,
like a water cooler interaction at my office.
yeah. Like we do use the general chat to say like, "Hey, I'm gonna be, gone for like half an hour. I'm gonna run some errands and I'll be back," or something like that, like where
Mhm.
that way we have full transparency of like I'm getting my work done, but I am using this. I'm gonna be away for right now. It's gonna be a delay if you need an instant response. Like I'll try to check my phone if you need me like that bad, but or sometimes I'll be like, hey, child emergency, I'll be offline for an hour or whatever. Um and sometimes we post, like, this is kind of something fun that they do is, like, I haven't done one of these yet, but, a rose and a thorn. So, like, a rose of the day is something great that happened, and a thorn of the day is something that's not so great that happened.
Interesting.
And so, we'll share that, and usually it's not personal. Every once in a while it will be, but, usually it's like, "We submitted the state report, and that was, like, a really big undertaking. Thank you everybody for your work," something like that. But, yeah, so it's like we try really hard to do that. We're trying to do an ice cream social, like, virtually, um, but that's our company culture, right? Like, working
Mhm.
and I think that's, like, a little bit to do with it being a nonprofit.
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna speak to a tech perspective because I
Yep.
work in tech and I'm currently doing QA, so I'm on a QA team, and we use Scrum format. And for those of you who don't know what that is, that's okay. The point that I want to make right now is that we have daily morning meetings that are
Mhm.
15 minutes long where we talk about what we did yesterday, what we're going to do today, and if we have any blockers for our work, whether those be like part of like the office thing, like, oh, I'm waiting for somebody to get back to me, or like personal stuff that's getting in the way at the moment, like, oh, I'm not feeling well, I'm not 100% today, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to have a morning meeting. It's consistent. Everybody's there. So you get to say hi to everybody every morning, and
That
it
is
just
nice.
yeah, it it's really nice and it's low stakes. Like you just
Sure.
be like, oh, I did this thing yesterday, I'm doing this today. Like occasionally there's a why isn't this done yet, but as long as you have a good
Sure.
reason to back it up, then like it's not a big huge deal.
Yeah.
And if you have a good supportive team like mine, you get people who back you up and are like, yeah, they were like, we've been trying to do this and it's not just this person's fault. Like,
Right. Yeah, like they reached out to me and like both of us have done that. Yeah.
so I really like that part of working, and that's just a scrum thing. Like even if we were in person, we would do that. Like it's called a
Right.
stand up because you actually stand up in the meeting. You're not allowed to sit down. Obviously remote work, we all just sit at our desks anyway.
I was like, do you stand up in remote work?
I don't. We sit down. But the point is that it's only supposed to be 15 minutes long, and if people are standing, they're not going to want to stand for more than 15 minutes.
Oh.
So that's getting into some scrum stuff, but I like that part of remote working is that we have this consistent meeting schedule.
Yeah.
I do find that other than that, our conversations are really transactional.
Yeah.
And I haven't talked to my manager like one on one at all. I've messaged her a
Oh.
couple times with things I need to talk to her about, but like we haven't had a meeting. And like if we were in real life, I would have run into her and I probably would have like spoken to her a little bit more. But like
Uh-huh.
now I have to like set it up. It has to be a formal thing where I have to be like, hey, let's get on a call and talk for like 20 minutes, like instead of, oh
Yeah.
hey, manager, it's nice to seeing you over here by the coffee machine. Like, how's your life? What do you?
Yeah. I just yeah. I mean, I try to make it like a thing of like um I mean, it's very common in my work culture to say, just throw something like you use the scheduling tool on our scheduling application and you can tell when they're busy and when they're not and um you schedule an appointment and you say like, "Hey, I need X amount of your time to talk about blank. Like if this time doesn't work for you, let me know and I'll move it," or something like that.
Mhm.
Um and then like yeah, it feels a little bit more high stakes than just being like, "Oh yeah, by the way." But I mean, you could also do that like if it's really like if you're like, "By the way, it's, like I'm running into some issues with this, it's gonna be delayed by a couple hours," or something like that, like, then you can do that on, like, Teams or Slack or whatever, but, you know, there's just so many different types of technology communication that you have to make daily decisions on of, "Am I going to use the quick form? How important is this? Like, is this extra urgent? Does this have too much information for this form?" Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, I my work culture is we never send emails. We just Slack message. Like
Yeah,
I have not sent a single email since starting at this position about 3 months ago. Um, so everything feels very casual, but also very
yeah.
transactional. Like just send someone a message when you need something from them.
Mhm.
But like in terms of other remote work differences, some of them are great. Like you don't have to wear like nice clothes. No
Yeah,
one in
okay.
my office cares what you look like.
Okay. Okay, okay, my like, CEO really loves work culture, like corporate or not corporate, like business culture, let's call it that. So she
Okay.
loves when you come dressed, like, properly in, like, a collared something or, like, a nice blouse. Um, like, she that's, like, a really great way to, like, um, be on her good side, is to show up and look for like, super professional. And
Mm.
so I always wear a, like, collared shirt, but then I'm wearing, like okay, at the beginning, I was wearing actual, like, real outfit, and
Let me see. Let me guess where this is
then
going.
where is this going?
That you just wear like comfy pants and a nice shirt.
I wear shorts because it's too heckin' hot. So, like, that was, like, a big thing. So, like, I started this job in April, and, we don't have air conditioning in my place, but we don't have humidity, so don't worry, like, I'm fine. But, like, um
But it's hot.
It's hot, yeah, and, my neighbors are loud, so I have to close my window, so then I have a fan on, but then the fan's not really enough because it's blowing, like, stagnant air in a sense. Not
Hmm.
stagnant air, but, it's
Yeah, I know
not
what you mean. Stale. It's like stale
so
air.
yeah, like, so it's just, like, it's just not the best, so I just get hot really easily. Like, I'm not somebody who's, like, almost ever cold, like, it takes a lot for me to be cold. And so I I'll wear shorts and then, like a button-up shirt, and then as soon as I don't have meetings anymore, then I get into, like, all comfortable clothes. Because why would I want to, wear
Yeah.
uncomfortable clothes? I can still work that way. Honestly, then I'm less focused on my clothes, like, if I'm wearing something comfortable. And I know that's not how everyone is, like, some people, like I'm sure you're about to say that, like, wearing certain pieces that are, like, not as comfortable as your pajamas tells you that it's time to work.
Yeah, I am somebody who like I can't work in PJs.
Yeah, I'm
Um
not in PJs for sure,
no, my
no.
my typical my typical schedule when I get up is I wake up at 8:50 in the morning, I roll over on bed, sit down at my desk, turn my computer on for 9 a.m. And then I do like a couple planning things for the day. So this is still in my PJs. So I'm like planning out what I'm going to do for the day. We have our stand up meeting, and then after the stand up meeting, I take a shower, get
But
dressed,
you
and
don't have to get on your camera.
I don't. I can have my camera off, which is the best.
Yeah,
Um,
we love having our cameras on, so I have to be, like, just the shoes minus the shoes, um, like, by 8 a.m. if I have an 8 a.m. meeting.
yeah. See, I am very lucky that I don't have to have my camera on. I do sometimes turn it on, because my coworker friend always has her camera on. Um, I don't
I
really know why. Um, she told
Why
me
what?
why she has a camera on. She told me
Oh,
that she got complimented on it once from somebody like higher up in the company, like when she
oh.
had it on in a meeting and they were both in it. But I'm like, dude, you can turn your camera off. Like no one cares, and I know that you're that you, like you don't have to like be ready in the morning because I guarantee you everybody else on our call is just a mess. But
Yeah.
but yeah, so I don't have my camera on the morning, and I don't even when I have my camera on, I'm normally just wearing a t-shirt.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
really do not care about what people think about what I look like on camera. I don't wear makeup. I don't wear nice clothes. Um,
Yeah.
you get me, and if I'm not good enough, then whatever.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing about me is that that is who I am. Like, I love being girly. Um, and I love makeup, I love fashion. Um, and so those are just things I do for self-expression. And so but they also help me to put on my best confidence face. So even though I'm not gonna have the makeup on very long, I go ahead and put it on because you know, I do whatever I feel is going to make me feel the best that day. So if makeup sounds really uncomfortable to me, I'm gonna wear less makeup. Um,
Hmm.
but I always want it to I never want them to question, like, since I've set that standard, right? Like that
Hmm.
like T looks like this when she is ready to work, then I don't like to jump on calls and look like
I
I'm not
understand.
ready to work, you know?
Yeah, like you've set the standard of like this is what I look like on a day when I'm feeling good. So you don't
Yeah,
want to like show up not looking that way. And that's one of the
right.
reasons why I decided very early on in my life not to wear makeup every day because I decided I'd rather have people notice when I'm wearing it than notice when I'm not wearing it.
Sure.
And also I'm not very good at it and it's not very comfortable, but that's getting into another whole set of whole set of fish. Um
Man, we're coming
but
up with lots of episode ideas today.
we are, aren't we? But like another thing that I really like about working from home is the ability to easily eat food, like good
Oh my
food.
gosh, yes.
I don't feel the pressure to bring like when So I never went into an office, right? But I compare it to like going to school. Like I don't have to bring
Yes.
school lunch with me to the office. I don't have to pack a lunch and bring it with me.
So
I
much
can just
effort.
I can just make food. And I can make food that I never would be able to have at the office. Like I often
Yep.
cook like dumplings over my lunch
Mm-hmm.
hour and have like dumplings for lunch. And I really enjoy that, and I find cooking can be very therapeutic. So I enjoy it as like a break in my day. I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go cook now for like 15 minutes." And then I can eat and then I can go back to work.
Totally agree with that. I eat way healthier. Like I eat more home cooked meals now that I am working from home. Um, because before my last job, I had like a really long break in the middle of the day, so I would not want to commute an hour back home just to
Mhm.
come back an hour or 3 hours later. And so I would like kind of just hang out at the mall nearby or like go to the gym or whatever. And the gym part was a great part of that schedule, but I would always be, like popping into Target or going with my coworker to like TGI Fridays or like
Mhm.
I ate a lot during that time and not necessarily foods that were great for me all the time. Um and so now I have a lot more control and I'm eating a lot more of my leftovers.
Mhm.
um like I just feel so much like I have so much more time on the weekends too because I don't have to spend all Sunday meal prepping like I used to. Um yeah, I used to prep all of our meals for the week on Sunday.
Yeah, that sounds so intense.
It was really intense.
Yeah, like getting the time back from not commuting makes a big difference. Like even though I
Mhm.
haven't commuted to the office, I've done the math, and in a commute to the office would be like an hour and 10 minutes round trip. So I'm
Mhm.
getting an hour of my life back every day by not
Right.
commuting. And
Right.
I'll admit most of that I spent sleeping. Um, but like an extra hour of sleep every day is good for me.
Yeah.
And
Plus
part of
more
me,
time to socialize.
yes, more time to socialize, but part of me misses the commute, as crazy as that is. Like
I get that.
I kind of miss the routine of getting up, going out, going somewhere. I just miss that whole routine aspect of it. Because right now I don't really go out I go out a lot of days, but I don't go out every day. And so I end up spending a lot of time at home.
Yeah. I don't listen to podcasts as much as I used to because I don't
Mhm.
have that commute time. Like commute time was when I listened to podcasts. Um and I find it really hard to do the kind of work that I do with podcasts on. So there's tons of podcasts that I love to listen to, but I don't or audiobooks that I don't listen to because I don't have time in the car where I'm just sitting like, trying to enjoy my time so I don't road rage. Like that's like, the main purpose of like podcasts and um audiobooks in my life is to keep myself calm and, not being all like so that by the time I arrive home from a commute, I'm settled down more, right? And I can be a nice person to my family. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of one of those things where I do miss the commute in that sense. I do miss seeing the skyline as I drive into the city and you know, like having that like real set like you will be ready by this time and out the door like that can be really tiring for a certain point, but it can also be really like
Comforting in the sense that it's like
sure.
routine.
Yeah. You could say that, I guess. Yeah. Like yeah, it's definitely like routine is comforting and so, finding new routines um after being so stirred up in our routines um is challenging.
And that's like one of my biggest tips for remote working is that you get yourself into a routine,
Yes.
and have it be predictable
Yeah.
for yourself, because it just helps your brain to not have to think so hard about
Mm-hmm.
every aspect of your day when you have set things that you're going to be doing at
Yeah.
certain times. Like, you, even if you have the ability to take lunch at different times, try to take your lunch at the same time every day.
Yeah. Yeah, so I work with people who are all across the United States. So I have people in Hawaii time, Pacific time, Mountain time, Central time, and East Coast time.
Wow.
And so sometimes I have to move my lunch around. But I try to keep it within the same, like it's usually between 11:30 and 1 I'll go off to lunch. Um,
hmm
so I do have like kind of a range, so you can have that flexibility within the structure, right? Um,
But don't like let
but
yourself skip lunch. Like at one of my old
yeah.
jobs, like people would get so distracted remote
Uh,
working and they just keep going, and then they'd look over and realize it's 3 o'clock and they haven't taken lunch yet.
mhm.
Like don't let yourself do that. Like it's very easy
Right.
to get into a groove when you're just in
Yeah.
your house at your desk and you just are and you're going along like a busy bee, but try to keep to your routines. I personally try to go off at lunch at 1 o'clock every day because
Yeah.
I like having the 9 to 1 4 hour time slot and then the
Mm,
2 to 5 3 hour time slot. So when
yeah.
I come back from lunch, I'm like, okay, it's only 3 hours until the end of the workday. I'm over halfway through this. Like that helps me in term mentally because a lot of people take new 12 to 1 and I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you do that? Then you have 1 to 5 and you're 4 hours until the end of the day. That seems exhausting.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that since my first job out of high school, back when I worked retail, I I was like, why do my 8-hour shifts seem so much shorter than my 4-hour shifts?
It's because you get a break, isn't
And
it?
and it's because you get a full lunch break, but also you have enough time to get into your work that the time like you can get into a deeper project, right? Like so like I would always build like the like little cutesy cardboard like school buses for back to school or like,
Cute.
like that was like my favorite one of my favorite things to do or like get into a like a project in like a printing department or something versus a 4-hour shift. I was just on the sales floor waiting for customers and checking people out at the cash register. Um and so like
Yeah,
those are
I
very different
experienced.
workflows and that like that contributes a lot to your the way that you experience your shift.
Yeah, I experienced that as well when I worked retail, and that I preferred, um, honestly, 5 hour shifts were my favorite because five
Okay.
hour shifts you got a 15-minute break.
Yep.
4 hour shifts you didn't get a break at all.
Yeah.
So I just preferred working 5 hours because then I get 5 hours of minimum wage, and I get 15 minutes of those off, as opposed to 4 hours where I get 4 hours of minimum wage and no time off. So
Yep.
I was like, well, one of these I'm getting paid for time that I'm sitting down, and then one of these
Yeah.
I don't get paid for sitting down time. Um, but retail's a whole different beast of
Yeah.
awfulness.
It is.
Um, retail sucks. But another thing that we do that I recommend other people do, and some people might say this is irresponsible, but we will get on Discord calls in the middle of the workday just to like hang out. Like we are working, we're doing
Mhm.
stuff for our jobs, but we just want to talk to somebody because remote work can be very isolating.
Yeah.
You are just by yourself in your office. And as we mentioned before, like relationships are hard to build in remote work settings. So just having someone there, even if we're not talking, like, because there's a lot of times when we're just
Yeah.
on a Discord call, we're not talking, we're just like vibing to music and working
Mm.
on stuff. Just having somebody there to like have a casual conversation with or vent about how annoying something you're doing is can make a big difference.
Yeah. You could yeah, and if you find that there's a coworker that you can do that with too, it may not be as casual as like what Jen and I do because we're best friends, so that's different. But like, you might have a coworker who, is like, I've been having a hard time working remotely, and then you're like, hey, me too. Like the power of me too is very like in all different contexts is very powerful. So, like finding togetherness in human interaction any way that you can. Um, like there's a lot of ways that COVID is allowing us to rethink the way that we structure our days and our lives and our, just everything that has had a certain way that we do things because this is how we've always done it or whatever. Like this is a great time things are being shaken up for us to reinvent the wheel in a sense, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like things don't have to be the way they've always been. You don't have
Yeah.
to worry about, like, say you're in the middle of the day and you feel terrible. Like, I felt awful the other week while
Mhm.
working. I had a massive like headache and my stomach hurt. So I just messaged my coworkers and I was like, look, I'm taking a 30-minute break. I'm going to go lie down. Like, you can have those moments where you take self-care because you're in your own house.
Yeah.
Like your bed is right there. Like if you need to rest, like you should rest. And if you need
Mhm.
food, you should get food.
Yep.
You don't feel like you have to restrict yourself to like, oh, my it's not my lunch break yet. Like I can't get
Mhm.
up and get something to eat. Like get up and get something to eat. And then you sit back
Yeah.
down at your desk 10 minutes later and you'll feel a million times better.
Mhm. Yeah, I get to a point where I've, like, looked at the same data set for, like, way too long, and I feel like a bull trying to ram my head against a brick wall that's not moving and
Mm-hmm.
being like, "If I continue to do this, I'm just going to hurt my brain more." And
Mm-hmm.
so then I just go, "You know what? I'm gonna, go refuel myself. I'm gonna get some food, get some tea, close my eyes for a few minutes." And I'll set a timer so that it's like, you know, I can't just take a nap for the rest of the day, but like,
Mm-hmm.
that way I come back and I'm like, "Okay, I'm ready to start this again." And then I sit down with my work with an intention. Like I'm going to get this far by this time, just as a working goal to try to meet an expectation. But like you have to have those little moments of self-care. And that doesn't mean the corporate sense of self-care. That means like, you know,
Actual self-care.
actually doing things that your body needs and your mind needs. Um,
Mm-hmm. And like I
so
know that there's pressure in certain corporate cultures to always be available and always be ready. Like people can wait 5 minutes. If you get a
mhm,
ping, people can wait 5 minutes if you're in the middle of something. Like you don't have to feel like pressure to answer right away. Like
yeah,
get back to them in a timely manner. But if you get a ping and you're in your kitchen, like getting some food, like in preparation to sit down, like and eat something, eat the thing. Don't go running back. Like they can wait.
yeah,
I mean, obviously, judge for yourself. If you like know there's a work emergency, then like you should handle it. But in most situations, they will be fine waiting for you.
yeah, yeah. I'll say, part of my self-care in my space and part of like really getting myself into a focused zone, um, is making sure that my office space is one separate from where I sleep and play. Um, and two, that it is relaxing. Um, so, a while back I redid my office. I painted it a nice color that's nice and neutral, but it's calming to me and it's aesthetic. I have my plants all over. I have candles that I'll light. I have my speaker that I'll put some calming music on. Um, and I really just make this my little world, my little zone of like calm, focused, like, sometimes creative. Like I will do creative things in this room as well. Um, so, I podcast in the same room that I work. Um, I'll paint in here sometimes. I'll, make art, like whatever, you know, like I will do productive um means in here, if you want to call them that, I guess.
Hmm.
Um and anything that's in here is on um it is up for dibs for me to have a break with, right? So if I'm feeling the need to step away from my computer for a second, I'll take care of my plants. I'll fold some laundry. I'll um, you know,
Do the dishes.
do the dishes,
That's a big one for me.
take my dog out, uh, you know, I'll like, you know, like I do something productive that's using my body, um, and changing modes a little bit that helps me to kind of decharge my like energy, if you will, of like frustration and intense screen staring. You know.
Hmm. Totally. And you touched on how you have a separate space. So I'm going to come at this from the opposite perspective of somebody who can't have a separate space. It has to be in the same spot. Um, if one of the things that I figured out is that as you work, you notice the things that distract you. Like for me, YouTube is really distracting.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I know people, my coworker is one of them, my coworker friend, who puts on episodes of like TV that she's watched before, and she'll like do work while that's playing in the background. But that doesn't work for me. I get
Mm-mm.
way too distracted, and I want to watch the screen.
Mhm.
Um, I want to watch the thing that's moving. So I have since found out that I cannot watch YouTube while working. The only thing that I
Mhm.
can use YouTube for is music.
Mhm.
And that's the other thing is that like I work well when I have some music to jam with. Complete silence doesn't doesn't really work well for me. And I would say like have separate music soundtracks for when you're working and when you're chilling out. But we sometimes listen to stuff that I listen to at work, just for
Yeah.
funsies. Um, but that's when it's like background music. Like you need to find good background music for your life,
Yeah.
and that's what I work to.
Yeah, I also sometimes will um put on soundscapes
What
or
are those?
soundscapes are it's basically what you listen to but like with like music on top of it. So it's
Oh,
like rain
mm,
sounds or like ocean sounds or Mediterranean forest or whatever. Like, I don't know, like they come up with like different environments that are just they're just natural noises, you know, like in a setting somewhere in a nature
mm-hmm.
space. Or you can find ones that are like that sound like you're in an office or in a coffee shop or, you know, like they have all sorts of different types of settings. And so like you can um if like don't worry if if it seems weird. Like, you know, like if you want to feel like you're in a coffee shop, play like, you know, like play the coffee shop soundscape, like whatever it is that makes you feel like you can be productive because sometimes music is too distracting. Or you know, I know a lot of people don't like music that doesn't have words in it.
See, I
um,
used to think I was that person,
mm,
but I'm telling you, there is instrumental music for everyone.
yeah.
I now listen to a lot of movie soundtracks and video game soundtracks and
Mhm.
lo-fi mixes that
Mhm.
I've recently allowed myself to get into. I never thought I'd like lo-fi mixes, but now I do.
Yeah.
Like there's tons of stuff. And a lot of people mix like music with soundscapes that you were talking about, like rain
Yeah.
sounds, ocean sounds. I've even seen some Harry Potter ones that have like parchment, like they sound like you're like marking things on
Oh.
parchment.
Yep.
Like there, all of that. So there is something out there for you. Like it's not just classical music.
Right.
Like, there's
Yeah, yeah,
so
like
much that you
the
can find.
yeah. Um, I sometimes also like, you know, I have certain songs that are very comforting to me. So, um, a lot of those being like the Animal Crossing GameCube soundtrack. That is incredibly comforting to me, and when I am just, like, feeling like I can't do anything right that day, or, like, I'm really, like, emotionally not in a great place, but I know I need to get my work done, um, then I'll put something on that, like, makes me feel like I'm being hugged essentially, like, and it, like, really makes my mood a lot better, and then I just kinda get to the zone, and it ends up turning my day around just through some simple media that I've found comforting since I was, a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I encourage you to, like, reach into the depths of things that comfort you.
Reach into
Um,
your soul.
yeah. This is another thing that you can listen to that's a little bit, some people might find it odd, but, there are frequencies, that you can listen to. So some of them that you might be comfortable or, like, aware of already are like white noise. But there's all sorts of different colors of, noise. So there's pink noise, brown noise, like,
I
and
thought this was so odd when you first talked to me about it, but
yeah. Um, so yeah, like, it sounds a little bit weird, but, like, honestly, like, you can look up, like, motivation frequency or, um, productivity frequency, or, like, whatever you kind of want, and then frequency, and, some of them have, like, affirmations with them and stuff, and that, to each their own, whatever you like. If you don't like that, cool. If you do, cool. I don't, like, whatever
Mhm.
you like, but these are just suggestions of different kinds of things that I've found helpful in times where I'm like, I don't know what to do, like, I can't focus and I need something. But what I've been listening to isn't helping. Like, um, you know,
Yeah.
this is something that can kind of help you get into, like, meditation, or, like, if you want to do like a 5-minute meditation, guided meditation to get yourself focused again. I've found that to be really helpful as well.
Yeah, the main point of this is just that everybody's different, but you can find things that are helpful to you, and you just have to try a few things. And you also have to take note of things that don't work. Like
Mhm.
putting on YouTube videos for me does not work.
Mhm.
Unless they're music. But like I can't just put on a YouTube video that I've seen 1,000
Right.
times. That doesn't help me. And since my workspace and my play space are the same space, I have to put up rules for
Mhm.
myself. Like if I'm at my desk and it is work hours, I'm not allowed to play video games.
Yep.
I'm not allowed to watch Netflix. I'm not
Mhm.
allowed to watch YouTube. I'm not allowed to look up things and read, because occasionally I'll do that.
Yeah.
Um, like I have to put up boundaries for myself and be like, okay, it's after 5 o'clock now. I can have fun.
Mhm.
And that's harder than having a physical differentiation of spaces, but you just have to have a mental differentiation of
Mhm.
time, and that can work.
Yes, yeah, it definitely can.
So I think that's just about everything that we want to talk about today in regards to remote working. So let's transition into our silver linings segment. So T, what is making you happy?
Well, it is currently Labor Day weekend.
Whoop
Um,
whoop.
yes, I've needed a 3-day weekend for so long, like, the immense joy that I felt this morning when I was getting ready, and I went, "It's Sunday, but I don't have to go to work tomorrow," was, like, stellar, because I often feel like I spend all of Saturday, just trying to get into weekend mode. And then on Sunday, I go, "Shit, I have to go back to work."
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
feel that.
so, but last night, or, like, yesterday evening, me and, one of my best friends since, like, 7th grade, we went out on the lake and we went kayaking, before the
Ooh.
lake closes for the year. And it was so beautiful. Like, the sunset was like this, like, bright neon, like, orangey red color, like, setting over the mountains, and then the birds were, like, all in the cattails, and we went all the way over to the cattails on the other side of the lake, and um
Wow.
like, it was just really nice to be out in nature. and spend with a good friend. Just moving our bodies and getting that nice glimpse of the beauty in our backyards. But yeah, what about you?
Well, mine is actually similar because it's also something that I did yesterday on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. I met up with a friend and we went to a park, and at the park there was a farmer's market, and we got food from the farmer's market and a bottle of cider, and then we sat down in the shade and just talked for hours and ate fresh fruit and bread and cider, and it was wonderful. And I want to do it again.
So nice. Yeah.
I just had such a good time enjoying the outdoors, and I got really sunburned, but it was totally worth it.
I wear sunscreen.
I will wear sunscreen. We were in the shade. I thought I was fine, but
you're never fine.
I'm so pale. I need to just recognize that I get sunburned all the time.
I'm so sorry, Mom. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening to this week's episode, or this month's episode. If you want to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, we can be found at GUIO.pod. New episodes will be released on the first Tuesday of every month. Please subscribe and leave us a review because it really helps us out. And we hope you'll continue to listen to us talk about our lives and hopefully learn something about yourselves too. And remember, growing up is overrated.